Hey guys, Angus, and today I'm going to be taking a look at this Amir fitness tracker. So I have never actually reviewed a fitness tracker before, so it'll be really exciting to see how this performs and also how it just looks and goes in my daily life. I have been using this for a couple of weeks now, and so far my opinion has been a hit or miss. Sometimes I really enjoyed using it and other times I didn't. So the packaging is fairly small, and in the box we have a user manual, and then we also have the bracelet as well, and we also have a funny looking charging system, but this is because the actual bracelet is waterproof, so it doesn't actually have a port. You use another piece of plastic to charge it. So here we have a short micro USB cable, and then we also have the charging ports as well. It's very short, and I think I would have preferred if it was a bit longer. Then the rest of the packaging is simply the bracelet itself. When I first opened this, I think I really liked the design. I would have preferred if the screen was a little bit bigger, but I think there's a little bit of simplicity in the design, and I like how there's not much to mess around with in terms of buttons. You've simply just got a touchscreen display. At first I found the strap to be a little bit awkward when I was trying to adjust it, but I think it is very adjustable and it feels actually really comfortable on my hand. So just taking a look at it, it is a very simple design. It is around £27 on Amazon, and starting it up is fairly simple. All you do is hold your finger on the display. You will try to tap it a couple of times, and this is for ignoring unnecessary taps. You have to hold the display for around 2 seconds and it will power on. Setup is fairly basic. If you want to actually use the tracker and get some data from it, then you have to turn on Bluetooth and then go to the settings and wait for it to pair. Now, I did actually try to find the Fitness Track app on the store, so when you type in fitness wristband, it doesn't actually come up with the right one, so I would actually recommend downloading a QR code reader, and then it will give you the link because it has a QR code on the packaging. So yeah, if you're having a problem with finding the app, then that is why. The app itself isn't that big, and also it downloads pretty quickly. I had no problems downloading this on Android 7. Once you do download the app, I found it a little bit annoying that you do have to sort of log into an account to actually use the app, but for me it's fine because I can just use my Facebook account, but you can also sign up with an email as well, and there is just a little bit of setting up to do, including entering your nickname and adding a profile picture as well. Once you set the gender, you can also put in your height, your weight, and also your date of birth as well. After that, you can set up how many steps that you want to take in a day, and it will tell you if you reach your goal, and it will also send a notification to your phone and also your wristband as well. So once I've installed it, we can take a look at the design, and I have to admit I do actually quite like the design of this. You can also choose the app permissions as well, which is really cool. I definitely found that I wanted to put all of my notifications on, but again, I will get on to how the notifications work later. So now we can take a look at the display. What you do is simply hold down it, and then you can flick up or flick down to choose the modes, and it will also show the notifications. Now, I do have to admit, on a display this size, the notifications are almost ridiculous. But for anything else, like looking at steps, looking at time, and looking at heart rate, the display is absolutely fine. Although it may look good at the moment, that is because I've got very good lighting in my room. In normal lighting, it's almost impossible to actually use. I've tried using this outside and it is absolutely ridiculous, and that is a huge disappointment. So I think in terms of the display, it's actually very disappointing. You've got a 0.9-inch display and it's got absolutely dreadful viewing angles. I think the fact that you can't properly use this in the outdoors is a huge shame, because a lot of people are going to be using this on the go, and if you can't even look at the display in normal daylight, then that is really, really poor. What I'm showing you now is the method for actually charging it. So you basically have 2 pins, and then in the charging port you actually have a micro USB port. I think this is a fairly simple system, but I think if you lose that little piece, then you can't actually charge it, which is a real shame and can be really awkward. I think setting up this sports band was a little bit more frustrating than I thought. When I actually connected it in the Android settings, I actually found that it wasn't connecting properly, and then I found that I actually had to go to the app itself and then pair again. So I think maybe if they had NFC in this sports band, it would be a lot easier to connect. So now I'm going to show you what it actually looks like when you get a notification. This is what a WhatsApp message looks like. So you have the normal time and then you can flick to get a WhatsApp notification, and it basically explains it. I found it a little bit confusing because it basically said just the name of my WhatsApp group and it didn't actually say the content. It basically said I just had a message. Of course you can delete it, but it wouldn't actually let me read the message. So I'm starting to wonder what is the point in having it in the first place, because it's just telling me that I have a notification and then I have to pull out my phone. So once I got everything set up, I actually went for a walk so I could actually see what it looked like. And I have to admit, the app actually does a really great job with displaying the data, and I think that it does sync well. Sometimes it will have to be refreshed a couple of times to actually pick up the data, but I think it's presented in a really nice way and they have done a good job on it. So after using it for a little bit more, this is what the data looks like, and I think that they have done a really reasonable job. You can also get a bit competitive, as you can see the ranks as well. And I think that this app has actually improved the way I look at it, because of course, when you want to look at the data, you want to look at it in a nice and informative way, but it's not too cluttered as well. So top marks for the way the app is designed. I have to admit that when you disconnect from it, sometimes the app can be a bit funny, and I find that a little bit disappointing because I think this is a great app. The wristband will also track your sleep activity as well, but to be honest, I didn't find this very helpful because small movements doesn't really represent how good quality my sleep is. I think an important thing to consider is, do I actually need a wristband? Because my phone actually does this for me already. It actually tracks my heartbeat, it can track my sleep, it can also track the number of steps I take, and if I'm honest, the heartbeat sensor on the Samsung actually does a better job than it does on the wristband. Although the heartbeat sensor on the wristband can actually be accurate, I usually find that it never really works, but with my Samsung device, it never really fails to actually show it to me properly. So I actually question whether I need a wristband in the first place. If I'm perfectly honest, I would probably not recommend getting this. I would actually recommend leaving this device. There possibly are better trackers out there for a little bit more money, but personally I don't really think this is important, mainly because smartphones already do this for us anyway, and in fact they do it better. So overall, I'm going to give this device 2 stars out of 5. Yes, it is cheap, but I think the display is absolutely dreadful. It's got very, very bad and poor viewing angles, and again, it's impossible to use outdoors, which is a huge shame, and I'd rather just leave it and use my phone instead. Also, the fact that you can't even respond to notifications on this wristband is hugely disappointing, so it kind of defeats the point of having it in the first place. I think a lot of people are going to be buying this so they can see notifications, but honestly, it doesn't make it that much better at all. It really doesn't improve the user experience. So there is my full review of this wristband. Of course, if you did find it helpful or enjoy it, then definitely be sure to leave it with a thumbs up. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching.